So I was doing a trip around Europe back in 2014, as I constantly saw my friends doing something similar, and I was slightly jealous not having any money at the time. By the time I had saved enough to go though, nobody wanted to come along with me. I was fine with that. I could understand and set off on my own journey. My objective was to get to Romania. I was a big Dracula fan, and had gotten excited when I got close. So excited I became, I was choosing the earliest and cheapest trains to my destination goal, that I found myself stuck at a run-down train station. All of what I had seen of Romania so far was exceptionally beautiful. Words truly couldn't describe the kind of beauty I was seeing. But I was told from the train posters posted at every train station that if I caught a train to this rundown station, then another train would come along and I would be on it for the rest of the night. How wrong was I? The train I had gotten off from went back on itself and disappeared out of sight. I stared at a notice board telling me that there wasn't going to be any trains until the morning. I sat down on the bench and had nowhere to go. I had no money to spare for a bed either. What had made it worse was the weather, as it was raining lightly and the shelter didn't protect me fully. I was surrounded by mountains, no idea where the nearest town was or what I was going to do. I looked at my phone and had no signal. "Hi, you look like you missed a train," a man spoke out. I jumped a little and noticed an old man walk over towards me. He must have been in his 70s. I smiled and just replied saying I thought another train would be coming, but I had made a mistake and now I've got to stay here until the morning. The old man was lovely and said I could stay with him and his wife if I wanted, but I had watched and listened to too much scary stuff in my time and knew this was something I really didn't want to do. But he kept on, even showing me a picture of him and his wife, talking about life and how the cold rain would soak me to the bone, making me sick. Reluctantly I agreed, and reluctantly we headed off to his home. It was around a 15-minute walk, and his wife had greeted me when I came in through the door. Another person was sitting at the station. The old man chuckled to himself. Apparently, there would be someone sitting at that train station once a month, according to the wife. They sat me down, fed me a bowl of soup, and showed me where I would be sleeping. They truly were nice people. I did feel a little uncomfortable, but I was so tired and cold that I really just wanted to lie down and sleep. The old man came to the bedroom door and said he had a fresh cup of tea. So I got up and grabbed it, saying thank you and closing the door again. I took a sip, but really needed to sleep. The weird thing was that I woke up during the middle of the night, and I heard whispers coming from the bedroom door. It sounded like the old man talking with someone else, another man. I got up, still dressed, as I mustn't have changed my clothes, and edged over to the bedroom door. I put my ear to the keyhole and listened to them talking about killing me, saying how the drug takes a few hours to kick in, so wait another hour before coming in. I covered my mouth as I started to panic. I moved extremely slowly to my bed and grabbed hold of my bag. Thankfully, it was a rucksack, and as I lifted the bedroom window and started to climb out, the door swung open, and all I could see was this big man running at me with a knife. I stumbled to a fall onto the ground, coughing my way back to my feet as I winded myself, and then took off running. The main house door swung open as the man continued chasing me. I had no idea where to go. I ran for ages, turning around as many corners as possible, hoping to lose track. Eventually I saw a pub that was open all night. I dived on in and took a seat at the bar. Sweat was pouring from my face. My breathing was frantic, and I asked for a glass of water as I terrifyingly waited patiently for this guy to enter. But he hadn't. I explained everything to the barman, and he had told me about numerous people complaining of the old couple in that house. but he never mentioned anything serious like killings. What scares me the most is that the wife told me they would have a visitor around once a month. I wonder what happened to them. I was on the train back home. I had been away for a few nights with friends, taking a little break from work life. My name's Elizabeth. The train was moderately empty, and I was pretty tired. "Tickets, please," the conductor bellowed as he came down the train. One by one, each person handed out their tickets, as I reached in my pocket. The conductor stood beside me and asked to see my ticket. I handed it to him, and he just stared at it for a while before asking me for my ID. "Is something wrong?" I asked, reaching for my ID. "Yeah, it says this is a child ticket. I just want to make sure you are a child, as we've been having a lot of people getting away with cheaper fares." I handed over an ID I had, and he looked at it for quite some time before handing it back with a smile, saying that it's fine. The weird thing was that he bypassed all the other people behind me and went straight into the front of the train. A few minutes later, he reappeared and carried on doing the tickets again. Thankfully, the next stop was my own, and I stood up, reached to press the button to get off, and noticed the conductor smiling at me as I stepped off. He gave me the creeps, but I got home and forgot about the whole situation. About 1 AM, I was still awake listening to music when I heard a knock at the window. It was like small little stones were hitting the glass. I had to turn off the music just to make sure I was hearing what I thought I was hearing. My parents were fast asleep, and I got up from my bed and looked out of the window. There was a man standing directly below. I couldn't see facial features at first, but recognized his voice as my window was ever so slightly open. It was the train conductor. I took a step back from my window as I couldn't believe it. He must have written down my details back from on the train and now was standing outside my window. "Calm down. You forgot something on the train. I won't hurt you." I stepped back to the window and tell him I didn't forget anything and he should leave me alone before I wake my parents up. He put both his hands up and said he was going with a smile. I closed my window and curtains, thinking that would be the end of it. But I got back into bed. My mind was racing when I heard window break downstairs. That was it. I ran into my parents' room telling them the train conductor had broken in. They thought I was joking, but then they heard footsteps coming up the stairs. My dad rushed up to his feet and closed the door. My mum called the police as myself and my dad was listening to the man say how he got a gun and if we didn't open the door he was going to start shooting. The door started being pounded upon. It even started to break with how hard this man was hitting it. My mum cried out telling him the police were on the way, but he didn't seem to care. He threatened to back away, otherwise he would shoot. My dad said he was bluffing, but the man did actually shoot his gun. I jumped when I heard it, crying into my mum, waiting for what felt like forever for the police to arrive. By the time they had turned up, the door was pretty badly broken. The man had shut the door handle and had kicked it so many times that eventually my dad had stumbled to the ground. I don't know if it was perfect timing or just sheer luck, but the police rushed in before the man entered the bedroom and apprehended him. They threw him to the ground and put cuffs on him pretty quickly. One of the gunshots was into the roof. I distinctly remember seeing it. Not long after all this though, we moved away. I'm very cautious now when handing out my ID.